Welcome to Business Amplified with host Kevin A. Dunlap.
This podcast is for small business owners aiming to amplify their enterprises.
Explore strategies to play a bigger game by becoming an author, public speaker, podcast host, or expanding your brand in other ways.
Elevate your business on Business Amplified.
And welcome back to everybody to Business Amplified. Today I have a very special guest. We've actually had a few conversations before, and I can't wait to share with you a little bit more about what she does. Her name is Shanda. Shanda, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me, Kevin.
Well, it's been my pleasure. I know we've had a couple of other conversations, and I've really enjoyed those conversations. And then now you're a guest on the show, so thank you for being here. Shanda, tell me a little bit about who are you? What is it that you do, and why do you do it?
Well, I am my name is Shanda Kohtz, and I want to kick off by saying I get Shanda a lot. So I always remind people to think of a chandelier, and then that seems to really stick with people. So after I've given them that connection, then it sticks. And so that just goes to show you the power of connections, right? And I typically would go by Mrs. Kohtz because I am an educator of 24 years.
Wow, that's a long time.
Yes. And so then it was interesting because I knew my first name was a challenge for people, but then when I got married and then my last name became Kohtz, then that also became a challenge. So I would get, as a teacher, I would get Mrs. Kohtz. And so I'd have to also correct them and say, think of a coat that you would wear. And then it would stick again with them. So they would catch on and say, okay, Mrs. Kohtz. So
That's great that you got two visuals. That's good. You got a chandelier wearing a coat. Okay, got it.
There you go. So yeah, I've just been really passionate about teaching and coaching. I taught 15 years as a 7th, 8th grade English teacher. And then I coached for 14 years, and I coached volleyball into basketball, and then from basketball into track season. So I felt like I was going all the time. And it was just, it was something though that I truly enjoyed doing. And now I've just taken it to a different level, and I'm now focusing on teaching or coaching. I could look at it either way, but teaching or coaching people who are burnt out. They're just stressed, full of anxiety, and they are ready to exit out of what they're doing. And so I'm primarily focusing now on nurses and teachers, especially who are looking to exit out of their profession. And I want to help provide them those stepping stones to making that transition, going from what they're currently doing to what they could be doing later on down the road. So I am excited about that.
Well, I do know that because I'm an ex-college math instructor myself. I did that for 3 years. And even before that, even when I was in college, undergrad and grad school, or undergrad, I worked as in a math lab. And then in grad school, I worked as a teaching adjunct. So, being in front of the room, going over mathematical problems, and then eventually becoming my own teacher myself for several years. To me, I did enjoy that. I did impart knowledge. Now, I know you're dealing with, let's say 15 to 17-year-olds. That's what you were dealing with?
I primarily had 12 to 14-year-olds.
So the 14, okay.
Yeah, 7th and 8th grade.
Okay. So you're dealing with a middle school, basically, for most people.
Yes.
Yeah. I must admit that for myself, I don't think I would have the patience to teach anything below college. That's just me personally. And And I remember when I was a teacher, especially in my first 1 or 2 years, I don't know if you experienced this, I'm assuming most teachers do, is that when you have a student in your class and they are not doing well, they're, you're going to probably give them a D or an F, that I felt bad as a teacher for that I was not able to teach them. And I took that personally. Is that very common in the teaching industry, or at least in the first few years of being a teacher?
I always had the mindset that, based on the work that they put in, the work that they put in was really a direct reflection of how they ended up for the end of the grading period. So I truly
I
believe that
learned
that
that
was
at
a
a later
reflection.
learned that later on. Like it was because just because that person made an F or made a D, on the final exams and the midterms. Well, did they do their homework? Well, not really. No. Like so, logically I get what you're going through. But at my first 1 or 2 years, I know I took it personally if the student didn't do well, because I would have other students that made A's. So I mean, it is something that it was how I focused. Now, the people that you're planning to work with or are working with that are teachers or instructors, what kind of industries are they typically going into? Are they becoming like a coach or some kind of other kind of professional like that?
A lot of these people may not know exactly where they're wanting to head, being that for example, they were in like maybe a bedside nurse, or if they've, always just been in a classroom situation as a teacher, then a lot of times that seems to be what really holds them back from making that transition. And so that's where I want, because they maybe don't know what their next plan is, their next strategy, then that's where I want to be able to help support them and give them that motivation to go into something else that would allow them that time back, really just to allow that time and that freedom that they didn't have when they were in that specific industry.
Okay, and I can understand that because I mean I don't know when the last time I looked up this statistic, but I think like 76, at least 60% of the people that have jobs out there don't like the jobs that they have. And then when they are thinking about, hey, let me think about becoming an entrepreneur, then they're thinking about, what is it that I can do? And then are they going to be passionate about it? Because one of the things that I talk to people about, because being a business coach as well, is like I would ask them, like, right now, what is your favorite time of the week? If you say Friday at 4:59 p.m. or 5 o'clock p.m. because it's time to go home, versus somebody says, hey, it's 8 o'clock or 9 o'clock on Monday morning. Like, if you're saying 9 o'clock in the morning, then obviously that you're doing what you love. If you're saying 5 p.m. on a Friday, assuming the proverbial Monday through Friday 9 to 5, then you're not doing what you love. And you got to find that thing out there that you can be passionate about it. And not only can you be passionate about, not only is that, but it's also there has to be something where there is a demand where somebody would actually pay for it.
Mm-hmm. I'm right there. I'm right there with you. I mean, I can definitely say, and again, it goes back to mindset though, because I think too, for entrepreneurs, people, and just in general, people who really enjoy what they do, for their profession, there's that mindset where it's hard to say, okay, I've got to close up, I've got to stop, and I've got to understand that I need that rest. And so that's been a challenge for me, just because I am passionate about what I do, and making myself think, having that mindset again, saying, I need to close up, put it away, and take this time for me, when it comes to that Friday afternoon. And so something that I've started taking up is pickleball. And so Friday at 5 o'clock, that's when we have scheduled time. There's a group of us who've scheduled that time to go and play pickleball. And so that's
Mhm.
where it helps to, okay, I'm closing up what I've been doing for the week, because you just love what you do, and knowing, okay, I've got this activity that is allowing me to still be active, because so many times we want to continue to be active. We don't want to close up shop. We want to keep going, right? So
Mhm.
that is where it's like, okay, I can still be active, but I can also have fun doing something else, and also getting that interaction with other people. So,
Well, that's one of the things about being an entrepreneur is taking some time off to for yourself, to give yourself either relaxation or activities that you enjoy doing. Because that's the one of the biggest reasons why, in my opinion, that most people become entrepreneurs is for that additional freedom after they've got their business up and thriving. Is what are they going to do with that time, and to enjoy the fruits of your labor. So I like the fact that you picked something that is something that you enjoy. That encourages exercise as well. So that way you can keep your mind focused and sharp.
yeah. And another thing is, that I also will incorporate is to see my massage therapist once a month. So I set up time on Saturday this weekend to go and see my massage therapist, to where, again, you're getting that self-care in, and you're also doing something, again, you really enjoy. And it gives you, I really look forward to going and seeing her, for my monthly, visit. But I also know, again, how important that self-care time is. And so it's different, but it's so, yeah, it's so rewarding. It really is.
Well, and that is the one thing I heard from a massage therapist friend of mine that I actually used to get massages from. This is a few years ago when both of us still lived in Las Vegas. Neither one of us live there anymore. And she did a massage therapy in her house. So you came to her. And one of the things that she said to me made me really reflective. For those that are out there that are listening that maybe you never have had a massage before,
Mhm.
is that she said getting a massage is not a luxury item. It is a requirement. Your body needs it. And if you start looking at it from that perspective, because that massage therapist is moving systems, your muscles around, or working out your knots. Was it called the limbic fluid that's getting
Lymphatic.
excused, or is being released from your body, or at least redistributed through your body. By not getting that massage, I mean, there's a good chance that you're going to tighten up, especially if you're doing a job that's very tenseful, or it can cause you, a lot of worry. I mean, you may enjoy it, but it may still be stressful. So that once a week, once a month massage, in my opinion, is critical. And you can either go to a particular one person, you can go to a company that you may get different people, or one of the things that I used to do a lot in Vegas was that I had somebody come to me. So I just never even had to leave the house. So she would just come to the house. We'd go into just out in the office, but the office was big enough that you could put the massage table in there, and I would get the massage there, or down in another room in the loft or bedroom or something along those lines.
Mhm.
So I would strongly suggest that what Shanda is saying is that self care, and again, it's your reward for doing the work that you're doing.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah, because I feel like so many times when we are so passionate about whatever it is we're doing, it's so hard to stop and
Hmm.
say, okay, I need time for me. And ask yourself too, like, what do you really enjoy doing? And I think this also helps to transition into those years of retiring, when you're like, you've already embedded these things into your lifestyle already. And so you're like, okay, because I can only imagine, I'm like, okay, well, now I look forward to playing pickleball when I retire. I look forward to, continuing to get massages when I retire. And so all of these things that you're starting to do for yourself, you're going to really be able to enjoy them even more when you are in that point of life where you're going into retirement.
Yeah, and I would agree with that as well. And well, there is this saying out there, especially as you're just starting building a new business, because you may be putting in a lot more than 40 hours a week. However, if you've got that passion there and you start building it and you start building that residual income, that then you can go and start doing other things inside your life. And there's a saying out there for those of you who are just starting out. It says a true entrepreneur is willing to work twice the number of hours per week to make half the pay. And that's because you're doing something that you're passionate about. And you may be working 7 days a week. However, you need to have that downtime. You need to recharge. One of the ways that when I was writing a course on time management, it's like every 20 minutes or so, or every 20 to 25 minutes, take 5 minutes off. Go outside, get a breath air or fresh air. And that is because the mind, if it's too focused for too long, you're actually going to start being counterproductive.
Mhm.
So by taking that time off, you go outside, take a walk around the parking lot or your house or whatever, or go smell the roses. But then you come back, you're most likely going to be re-energized, and that 5 minutes that you took off is going to make you a lot more productive than if you actually worked that 5 minutes.
Mhm.
And for
Yep.
those of you that are listening to this show because you're not watching the video, Shanda is shaking your head vigorously in the yes direction.
Yeah, and I mean, and I think too of what the conversation I just had with my sister, my sister recently, and how she said she's got a desk job, and so she has made it she's made a habit of getting up and walking around. I think it was at every hour. I think she's incorporated walking around for 5 to 10 minutes. So just with her saying yeah, that definitely, I mean, because you can all, I can't imagine, but for those of you out there who can imagine a desk job and how much sitting really can take a toll on your body, as well as I'm sure your mind, but just to be able to, like, you mentioned, take those breaks, because yeah, you can be so much more productive.
Well, I've worked both. As I mentioned earlier, I was a college math instructor. I also at one time I was a computer programmer. So that means sitting at the desk. Right now, with what I do, I shoot a lot of videos online from using Zoom or something along those lines. I do a lot of coding and what have you. So I'm sitting at my desk a lot. However, I'm making it a habit that I drink a lot of water. So every so often, I need to go get more ice to put in my water bottle or into my glass. That, and I've got a pedometer on, and I want to make sure that I am getting up every so long. Even if I've got a glass that's just is half full of water, and then all the ice is melted. Like, well, let me go get some more ice. So at least I'm getting up and I'm moving. Because if you don't move around and you're not getting massages on a regular basis, your body will tighten up. So, in my opinion, if you really want to stay active, obviously play pickleball, play tennis, volleyball, whatever it is, but also make sure that you get that massage. And the second thing is maybe even, and this is even for you men out there, maybe even start doing yoga, because the yoga is going to help with your flexibility and your stretching. And I recall back when I lived in Vegas, these like big burly like football player type guys came into the yoga class with their girlfriends, and it was a heated yoga class as well. So it was a 90-minute Bikram yoga class. And the guys were actually exhausted by the end of the class. The women were outdoing the men, even though they were like these big 200+ pound burly guys. And so I would highly suggest that for you guys out there as well, is to maybe take a yoga class once or twice a week, because that will increase the flow of your blood through your body, as well as increase your flexibility. I know for myself, at one time, I remember I'm a 6 foot tall person. And I would deliberately stand and put my yoga mat next to a girl that's probably like 5 or 5'2". I did that. And whenever she went down into her warrior one or warrior two, I said, I've got to get my head below her head. So I've got it. So I challenged myself that even the tiny people that I was like, I'm going to be this flexible today. So that is definitely something to reinvigorate your body. Would you agree?
I would definitely agree. And I know my massage therapist speaks highly of yoga. And she also talks a lot about magnesium as well. So those two actually are pretty hot topics with my massage therapist. So definitely, yes.
Well, if you're going to go down to nutrients, if you do have a desk job or if you have an indoor job, then you may also go want to look at some vitamin C and vitamin E as well. Because if you're not getting direct sunlight, and I'm not talking about you're getting your sunlight through a window. No, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about actually direct sunlight.
Mhm.
So you definitely want to look into those kinds of things just so that you can keep yourself healthy.
Yeah.
Because I mean, I read online, or I think I saw it on TikTok, where the average American person is starting to develop arthritis in their 50s instead of in their 70s.
Mhm.
And that's going to be a lot of that is because of inactivity, in my opinion.
Mhm. Yeah. Well, and I would imagine that, yeah, the massage there, I mean, and looking again down on our phones, that's another factor in regards to stress on your neck. And I just, yeah, that's where I definitely think there's so many benefits, like you said, to yoga and to getting your massage therapy treatment. So yeah, definitely two win-wins right there.
And I'm going to share something with, I know you don't know this, Shanda, but one of the things that I've done myself personally is that I used to have my desk, it's an L-shaped desk inside the corner of my office. So I had a wall in front of me, had a wall beside me, and to my left, it was outside of peripheral vision, but I had a window. And so therefore, every once in a while, I would look out the window like, okay, that's all nice and pretty and such. And what I ended up doing about 2 months ago is I rotated my desk where now if I'm looking at my second monitor, around the monitor is the window. So I'm literally in my peripheral vision, I'm seeing nature, and I've got trees and grass in the background. So I'm seeing nature on a regular basis, I mean, daily. And that has changed my attitude on a lot of things by just rotating my desk to get more sunlight coming in. Now, for me, at the time of this recording, around 3 o'clock, that's when the sun, because it faces the east, or excuse me, it faces the west. So around 3 o'clock, I may have to close the blinds because the light's coming in because the sun is starting to set. So I am aware of that. And the second thing that I've incorporated into my business to help me a lot is to have it's called workplace music. You can find it on YouTube. It'll be like a 4-hour loop, and it's just playing this very soothing music, and it's very motivational music. It's kind of like what's known as binaural beats, and I've done that one before as well. So for those of you guys that are having the office type jobs, and if it's okay that with your coworkers because you're not sitting right next to somebody else, you can have some music playing or have some headphones on.
Mhm.
Having that because that I found to be very inspirational because I'll get up after a day of work and I was like I don't feel as tired as I sometimes do. The stress level hasn't changed, but I don't feel it as tired as I do, and I could attribute that to looking at nature or just looking outside, as well as having that music going. So that's going to be my golden tip for all you business owners out there, especially again if you're on the laptop or on the computer a lot. And you could have it the music playing in such a way that it's not going to get picked up if you're doing like I say a call center. So you can have that at least a little bit going on just so you can help relieve your stress. So that's
Yes,
just my one of my golden tips for you guys today.
definitely.
Well, Shanda, I would like to ask you a couple of more things before we go. What do you think are what have been some of your biggest successes with your business so far, or as you're starting this new business? Because I know you have other things going on as well. Would you like to share with us about some of your successes?
I would say the biggest success is consistency. And that is when you're going on and you're really being intentional about it. And then it goes back to the why. So that's where those two actually work together. So your why, because I'm always going back to that question, why am I doing this? And then this is helping me to be more consistent. But again, you see how those two work together. It's like, okay, well, if I know what my why is, then that's going to help me towards being more consistent. So I've found as a business owner I've found over the last year or two that I'm always going back to my why. And then that's helping to build on the consistency piece. So whether that be being more consistent with following up with my clients, more consistent with getting like feedback, even. That's another big piece, is getting feedback from my client, or going on and posting on LinkedIn, once a day. That was something that I knew I had to work on, was being more consistent with posting on a particular platform, whichever that may be for you, because everybody has a different platform that they feel more comfortable with. And so that's another key thing too, is that, yeah, you might feel comfortable with a certain platform. Okay. But then comes that, okay, how can I be more consistent with using that platform? And
I
getting
fully
extra
agree with that. Because when I had my first, because I'm launching a second podcast right now called Business Amplified. But when I had my first podcast back in 2016, which I created, it was called Life's Little Lessons. It was just me talking into the microphone. And I just released my second book, Designing Your Own Destiny, and the podcast was to promote the book. So we're going to talk about different aspects of the book, and then it's like, okay, I've got 22 chapters in this book. I've got like 3 to 4 or 5 topics per chapter. I've got 100 plus things I could talk about. And I went and I was excited. It was that brand new little shiny toy. And I did my first podcast. Then the week after that, I did my second podcast. And the week after that, I did my third podcast. And then a month later, I did my fourth podcast. And then about a month and a half later, I did my fifth. And then the week after that, I became extremely inconsistent. And that is because this thing was that new shiny toy. I was excited about it, but you're absolutely right. It was the consistency. And there's AI software out there. There's platforms out there that will auto post for you. You can go and create an entire month's worth of posting. Like sit down in an afternoon, and let's say you're doing memes on Instagram, and you can go and create an entire month, 30 memes in one afternoon, and then have it scheduled to be released at 2 o'clock on Wednesday, every single Wednesday. Now you just you create that, and you use another tool, so you don't have to be physically doing it all the time. So yes, consistency is number one, and then think of it like it's an episode of television. And your favorite show, it says NCIS whatever, it comes out on Thursdays at 7 p.m. consistently the same exact time. It's not like, okay, today it's going to be at 7 p.m. on Thursday. Next week it's going to be Wednesday at 2 p.m. And then the next week is going to be on Friday at you need not only to be consistent, but be also deliberate and doing it on a regular basis. And that's that's one of the biggest things about consistency is go out there and find a tool that can help you not only be consistent, but also go out at the exact same time every week.
Mm-hmm. Yes, definitely. Because again, and the consistency helps with your audience, because your audience they're expecting you to be on at that day and time. And so after a while, you see that happening. Like, and I know as a coach, I get because I do it's called a Never Miss a Monday live on Facebook. And so every Monday at 2:00 p.m. Central Standard Time, I go on and I do my live. And I've started over the years, getting that feedback, like, where are you going to be on this, well, it's not, are you going to be on? They're expecting you to be on Monday at that time.
Well, that's how you grow your brand, is because if you're coming out haphazardly, people don't know when to expect the next piece of content. That's the way you build your business, is to train your clients to know when to hear from you. And I'm glad you said that, because I know myself that on the first and third Tuesdays at 3 o'clock Eastern, I have a meetup group where I do a training. So I'll go in there and put it on Meetup. This is the training. This is what we're going to be talking about. You can join if you're not. But they know at the first and the third Tuesday at 3 o'clock Eastern, there's going to be up to a 90-minute training on some type of topic on how to build your business. I mean, I've done trainings on the current uses of AI. I've done trainings on time management. I've done trainings on my next training that we have scheduled for this was how to start a podcast. Because right now I'm starting my second podcast, and I'm going to use what I'm learning at the time of this recording to actually teach those people on that Tuesday. So the thing is, you need to be very deliberate.
Mm-hmm.
Now, before we go, how could the listeners find you and get a hold of you, and just get a hold of you?
Well, I am on LinkedIn, so it's very easy to connect with me on LinkedIn. And Shanda, if you go to Shanda, Shanda Kohtz, Kohtz, you can easily find me, because there's not too many Shandas out there, Kevin.
I will say that is a pretty uncommon name.
So LinkedIn is a great way to get connected with me. And then also I have my email is at info@goodwatergoodlifellc.com. So my title is a high ticket exit strategy coach with Good Water, Good Life. So that's where the info with Good Water, Good Life comes in. So that would be a great way to get connected and learn more about what it is that I'm doing.
Yeah, that's one of the things we did not talk about, was her water business. However, I do know from previous conversations that she's pretty successful at that business. And again, if I remember, that was at www.goodwatergoodlifellc.com.
Correct.
Okay.
That is my website.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Well, everybody, hopefully you guys have learned something about being consistent in your business, as well as how to relax and to help motivate yourself, especially if you're just starting out. She does offer a coaching business for people who are wanting to make that transition from being in the career, being a teacher or something like that. Go ahead and just give her a call. And for those of you that are listening to this show and you think you might be a great guest for our show, because we are always looking for guests, you can go to our website, or our calendar, which is www.optimalperformanceacademy.org/pre-interview. No hyphens in that word pre-interview. Again, that's optimalperformanceacademy.org/pre-interview. And we can schedule a 15 to 20-minute time where we can talk about your business and to see if you're a good fit for the show. Well, Shanda, I do appreciate you being here. Any last words before we go?
My last words are self-care. So if you are looking for ways to provide yourselves more self-care, Kevin talked about yoga. I had mentioned massage therapy, as well as, getting activity in as well by playing pickleball. So whatever that activity may be, whether it's maybe tennis, maybe pickleball, maybe a game of maybe a volleyball game, or sand volleyball is always fun. I mean, obviously it's the cooler month right now. We're probably not going to be playing, but we always can play indoor volleyball. That's the great thing though about volleyball, is that, and basketball and pickleball, and so you can play indoor or you can play outdoor. but you're having fun, you're getting that activity in, you're taking your mind off, what you really have a passion for, but still it really does make a difference in your overall outlook on life.
We also do a little bit of a plug for the Good Water, Good Life. Make sure you keep yourself hydrated. That's by far one of the most important things that most people do is they don't drink enough water. And by the way, if you've got your water in the refrigerator, those are some extra movements every 20 or so minutes to go up there and get another glass of water, or at least go and get some ice. So get some activity in your body while you're working.
Definitely.
Well, everybody, I do appreciate you guys for being here today, and stay tuned for our next episode.
Thanks for tuning in to another empowering episode of Business Amplified with Kevin A. Dunlap.
If you found value in today's insights, don't forget to subscribe, rate, and share the podcast.
Keep amplifying your business. And remember, your success journey is our inspiration.
Until next time on Business Amplified, go out there and make your business thrive.